and welcome to Crossfire, that show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we tell you how the world is now accusing the West of its double standards as it secretly channeled Russian gas into Europe and poured billions into Russia's coffers. Also on the show, we tell you how Israel's construction sector is now relying on India as it faces a massive labor shortage due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. For nearly 3 years, Russian gas quietly flowed into Europe through a Ukrainian pipeline. This has been filling Kremlin's coffers even as the West poured billions into aiding Ukraine. Now, this shocking contradiction ended on New Year's Day, but it raises a burning question. How effective are Western sanctions against Russia if such loopholes exist? Our next report decodes it for you.
The West has been caught in a glaring contradiction. While standing with Ukraine against Russia's invasion, it has quietly been funding Moscow's war chest through the very lifeblood of energy. For nearly 3 years since the invasion, Russian gas has flowed into Europe through a Ukrainian pipeline. This has funneled billions into Kremlin's coffers, even as taxpayers in the UK and elsewhere poured aid into Ukraine. But this bizarre arrangement has finally been severed. On New Year's Day, Ukraine slammed the door shut on the pipeline, signaling a long overdue end to what many are calling a betrayal of Western sanctions. So, why was it allowed to function for so long? The answer lies in a 1991 agreement between Ukraine and Gazprom. Under this contract, Ukraine earned around £700 million annually in transit fees for delivering Russian gas to Eastern Europe. Countries like Hungary, Slovakia, and Austria continue to benefit from this arrangement, with Russia receiving an estimated £4 billion annually until the deal expired at the end of 2024. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made it clear his country would no longer allow Russia to earn additional billions on our blood. But here's the bigger question. How effective have Western sanctions against Russia really been? Despite embargoes, black market sales of Russian oil and gas to Europe have flourished. Meanwhile, Moscow has strengthened energy ties with nations like China and India. Even though these sales come at a lower prices, they've helped prop up the Russian economy, thwarting efforts to cripple it. Europe, for its part, has significantly reduced its reliance on Russian energy. Countries now depend more on piped gas from Norway and LNG imports from Qatar and the United States. But not all nations are faring well. Moldova, Slovakia, and Austria are likely to face steep price hikes following the pipeline closure. And what about the UK? British households are still grappling with sky-high energy bills, some of the most expensive in Europe. Energy costs are now 50% higher than pre-pandemic levels. The crisis comes at a time when pensioners are losing winter fuel allowances and temperatures are set to plummet across the continent. So, as Europe adjusts to life without Russian gas, tough questions remain. How did this dependency last so long? And will the West ever be able to fully hold Moscow accountable?
North Korea has dropped a maritime bombshell, unveiling its largest warship yet, a colossal destroyer that dwarfs anything the regime has built before. Kim Jong-un, in full display of his military ambitions, isn't just flexing naval power. He's sending a direct message to his global enemies. But beneath the fanfare lies a web of questions. Is this a symbol of strength or a desperate propaganda move by an increasingly isolated nation? And what role does Russia play in this dramatic escalation? Our next report unpacks these questions for you.
In a meticulously staged reveal, North Korea's state media showcased leader Kim Jong-un inspecting what is being touted as the regime's largest and most advanced warship yet. The colossal destroyer, seen at what analysts identify as the Nampo dockyard on North Korea's west coast, signals a seismic shift in Pyongyang's naval ambitions. The vessel, still under construction, is a game-changer for North Korea's navy. Measuring approximately 330 feet long and weighing over 3,600 tons, it dwarfs the nation's current largest frigate, which weighs just 1,360 tons. Analysts have spotted key features, including an area likely designated for vertical launch missile systems, capable of firing cruise and guided missiles. The warship's unveiling comes as North Korea deepens military and economic ties with Russia. Experts note striking similarities between the destroyer's design and Russia's Admiral Grigorovich-class warships. This has sparked speculations of shared technology under a growing Moscow-Pyongyang security pact. The growing alliance was cemented in 2024, with both nations agreeing to mutual military assistance. Kim Jong-un's recent New Year letter to Vladimir Putin described the Russian leader as his dearest friend and comrade, hinting at further joint military projects on the horizon. Kim's maritime ambitions extend beyond this destroyer. Last year, during a visit to a naval base, he emphasized the urgent need for larger warships and facilities to support them. South Korea's Defense Intelligence Agency has also flagged potential construction of a nuclear-powered submarine at the Sinpo naval yards. Despite the grand display, critics question the strategic value of this investment. Historically, North Korea's navy has operated close to home, rarely venturing beyond its coastal waters. Experts argue that the new warship may serve more as a propaganda tool than a practical addition to its military arsenal. Kim Jong-un is betting big on naval power, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Will this warship mark a turning point for North Korea's military ambition? Or is it destined to sink under the weight of global skepticism? The answer could ripple far beyond North Korea's shores.
The aftermath of Israel-Hamas conflict has left scars not just on the battlefield but also in the economic sectors. Among them, Israel's construction industry faces a critical labor shortage due to escalating regional tensions and disrupted migrant worker inflows. In a surprising turn, Indian laborers are stepping in to fill this void, marking a new chapter in the relationship between India and Israel. But what's driving this surge and how does it shape the conflict in the region? Find out in our next report.
As Israel rebuilds in the wake of its recent conflict with Hamas, its construction sector is grappling with a severe labor shortage. Traditionally reliant on Palestinian and other migrant workers, the industry now turns to India for its workforce needs. The influx of Indian laborers is part of a broader bilateral agreement aimed at bolstering economic ties between the two nations. According to reports, thousands of workers have already arrived in Israel under the program, with more expected in the coming months. Post-conflict, the numbers tell a stark story. The total workforce in the sector has plummeted to around 30,000 foreign workers. This has caused construction activity to decline by 25% in the third quarter of 2024. To prevent a complete collapse of the industry, Israel initiated recruitment drives targeting Indian workers, resulting in a significant demographic shift. As of now, approximately 16,000 Indian workers have stepped in to fill the void, with thousands more expected to join in the coming months. Drawn by wages that are often 5 times higher than those in India, reports suggest that thousands of Indian workers, mostly from states like Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar, are heading to Israel under specialized work visas. This move is seen as a win-win situation. while India benefits from a source of income through remittances as an opportunity for its workers to gain valuable international experience. Israel, on the other hand, gets the labor it needs to power through its ambitious rebuilding projects. Yet, this partnership is not without its hurdles. Indian workers must adapt to a new culture and work environment, with language barriers and unfamiliar work practices to navigate. While many are used to working abroad in Gulf countries, Israel presents a different set of challenges. The impact of this new labor flow cannot be overstated. Indian workers have answered the call in Israel's time of need, helping to rebuild both its infrastructure and its future. But as Israel moves forward, the question remains: will this temporary solution evolve into a permanent economic partnership? Or will both nations find new ways to address their growing labor needs in an ever-changing geopolitical landscape?
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Crossfire. Stay tuned to India Today Global, where we simplify geopolitics for you.